Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
Fourth topic comes from Amir B. I remember last year you and Rob discussed that WB was going to be producing some narrative podcasts and that Batman was one of them. I just read that they are launching the new show in May. I love Batman, but I never thought about getting my Batman stories from a podcast. What does this mean? Are they talking about Batman stories? Are they reading them? How is a narrative podcast different from an audio novel? Thank you for clarifying, for any clarification you can give this.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that. Sorry, we didn't have the email graphic for that. Yeah, this is really interesting. So you're right. I remember, Rob, like it feels like a year ago, maybe it was longer, but Warner Brothers decided they were going to invest with Spotify into putting together some podcasts, some narrative podcasts. And one of the things they mentioned was going to be a Batman podcast. It's like, all right. And then I remember hearing a while ago that one of my favorite characters in the MCU, M'Baku, played by Winston Duke, he was going to be the voice of Batman.
Which is dope.
Which is like really kind of cool. Because if you think about his voice in Us, it's like, yeah, that could be a pretty decent Batman voice. So I love Winston Duke. I think the dude's great. Then this is interesting, although they're taking an angle with it that I'd not thought of before. Maybe this is from another story that I've missed and overlooked. But anyway, this comes from the folks over at CBR who write the following about this whole story, which is kind of interesting. They write this. Batman Unburied, the Spotify exclusive narrative podcast, finally sets a release date. And by the way, that release date is May 5th. May 5th is when this is coming out. As reported by the Hollywood Reporter, the Cape Crusaders' upcoming audio adventure is set to hit Spotify on May 5th and will delve into some of the darker aspects of Batman's mythology. While the episode count of the series is currently unknown, the podcast features an all-star cast of voices, including Black Panther's Winston Duke, who plays Bruce Wayne / Batman. The audio drama will also feature the vocal talents of Gina Rodriguez, Jason Isaacs, I love Jason Isaacs, Lance Reddick, Ashley Birch, and John Rhys Davies, who I also love John Rhys Davies. So that's just all great to me. The Batman Unburied is the first production to come from a multi-year first look listening deal between Warner Brothers and Spotify. The story begins, now this is where it gets interesting. The story begins with Bruce Wayne working as a forensic pathologist in Gotham Hospital as he's been tasked with examining the victims of a terrifying serial killer known as the Harvester. I'm guessing that he takes organs. I'm just going to go out on a limb there and guess that.
Maybe he farms.
Maybe he farms. Maybe he loves
pumpkins.
Stardew Valley. Maybe he just plays a lot of Stardew.
That's precious.
Not only will the superhero be forced to face his own mental demons, but he will also have to overcome them in order to save the citizens of Gotham as his alter ego Batman reads the description for the series. So, Bruce Wayne will start off working as a forensic pathologist at a hospital? I just thought being rich was his job. So, okay, he's definitely the detective, so that's cool. I am not familiar with any of the stuff that I've read where he's had that. So maybe that is in one of the comic runs that I'm just not familiar with. So that's interesting. Okay. Now, the person who wrote in the email asked an interesting question. What is the difference between a narrative podcast? Because he asked in there, are they just going to like read a comic or talk about a story? What is the difference between a narrative podcast and an audio novel? I don't know. I don't know. Why? Because if this is what I'm picturing in my head, then that's called an audio novel. Or, as they used to call it in the old talkies, radio dramas. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure what the difference is, other than the fact that in most audio novels, like nobody does audio novels, even their bad ones, better than Star Wars. Star Wars audio novels are the shit because they put so much production into it with the music and the sound effects. The thing is, it's always one person doing the voice. It's the narrator doing the voice, right? Of all the different characters. This sounds like they're going to have a full cast and all that kind of stuff. That's great. So I'm assuming, person who wrote in the question, I'm assuming this is just an audio novel with multiple cast members, but it's going to be released in chapters, so they call it a podcast. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a listen. I will say this, though. Batman, to me, is very much a visual story. Batman, to me, is a visual medium, whether it's painted images or moving pictures, whatever. It's interesting to me to try to picture myself listening to a Batman story. But then again, I guess you could say the same about Star Wars. Star Wars is a very visual medium-based thing, so maybe that'll work. I'll check it out. I don't know what to expect. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing about this. What do you think about this project there? David Goyer is the executive producer on this, by the way. Is this something that catches your interest?
So excited. John, I grew up listening to the CBS Radio Mystery Theater Presents, hosted by E.G. Marshall, and they were really like dramas. They were actors portraying parts, there were sound effects, there was music, and it was like listening to a whole story. It was like a play or like a TV show. You're just listening to it, you're not seeing it. One of the greatest things that came out last year was The Sandman, the DC's The Sandman audio drama.
Good.
Oh,
a lot of people like that a lot.
Oh my God. I mean, it was, first of all, it was like 13 hours long, and Neil Gaiman was like the narrator, and it was a full-on actors playing parts. It was an audio drama, and it was just as entertaining as a movie. It was incredible. And I think it's, if they're doing anything like they did with Sandman, this is going to be something really special. And I implore all of you out there, our viewership, do yourselves a favor. And if you like audiobooks and you go to work or whatever, if you have not listened to the Sandman audio drama, it is, Chris,
Oh, it's
don't
incredible.
you think?
It's incredible.
Incredible.
It's so good. Oh.
And it'll make you fall in love with that character. And here's an exclusive for the John Campea Show. I have a friend that has seen the first 3 episodes of the Sandman TV series, which is one of my most eagerly awaited things.
Yeah, that thing's only been coming for like 7 years.
And
yeah, it's about time.
I mean, they've been trying to make Sandman and he, big thumbs up. And he was telling me about one particular episode that is early on in the comic run, because it's my favorite comic of all time. I go, wait a minute, they did that? They did that. It's called 24 Hours if you want to look into it. And he goes, oh yeah, they did that. And I'm like, that early on in the series? He's like, yep. I'm like, wow. And I'm like, oh, I'm in. But listen to that audio drama, because it's awesome, dude.
Chris, you're hearing about this narrative podcast of Batman, Winston Duke, the whole bit. I don't know. Is this something that's catching your attention? What do you think we can look forward to? Are you excited for it?
I'm very excited about this. Let's talk about that podcast versus audiobook thing for a second too, because I know about this. So basically, this is more about the way that we're distributing this, right? So audiobook, you get that all at once. You buy that, you listen to that at your leisure. The podcast format is going to allow DC to have ads throughout their chapter releases. So
That's
you can
true.
monetize that in a much more effective way. So there's that. Like you guys were saying too, audiobooks typically, sometimes this is different. If you have a romance, maybe sometimes there's 2 narrators, or if they're doing 2 different people's perspectives and there's first person narration. Usually it's just you, and their narration itself is much more laid back. You're reading, you know, maybe it's a finished hour read of 15 hours, right? That means your audiobook narrator has worked probably 30 plus to get those nice clean edits, right? So you're usually a bit more relaxed, you're seated, you're not doing really zany voices when you're doing the other things. There are exceptions to this rule. We've got Andy Serkis currently doing a Lord of the Rings read. He's full on doing his Gollum voice, of course. He's doing a lot of different voices on that as well. When you're doing something that is much more like an audio drama where we're acting out the play, you have people coming in and out, doing their lines. It feels more like it's akin to what you do for animation or video game readings as well. Just a little more dropped in. If animation is playing out to the mezzanine in a theater, your audiobooks are more like a black box theater experience. So a little more pre-life, a little more grounded as well. So that's kind of the differences there for you, dear viewer. Back to me being excited about this. Fuck, yes, I am. Oh my God, I'm so excited. If you guys listen to the Wolverine podcast, The Long Night, like that got me hyped for listening to more comic book stories in this kind of format. And having M'Baku do the voice of Batman, I mean, come on, that's going to be killer.
It's going to be killer.
All right, guys.
It's going to be killer. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Would you be interested in checking out a podcast version of a Batman story? I mean, it could be interesting. We also got a couple people in here excited about it. What are you guys feeling about it? Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Guys, we want to take a minute and thank a sponsor of today's video, Viore. Now, you know, Ann and I like to work out and train several days a week, but the thing is I want to be comfortable and not look like a slob at the same time, and I often have a hard time finding something that does both. But Viore, everything is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it's made to be worked out in. It is so comfortable, you will want to wear this stuff all the time. Now, you guys know I like some flexibility and versatility in the clothes that I wear, but that's where Viore comes in. See, it can be used for just about any activity like running, training, swimming, yoga, but it's also great just for lounging around or going out on the weekends in. For example, take the men's core shorts. These are the most comfortable and one of the best looking pairs of shorts that you can own, and they're versatile. One pair of shorts for just about every sport that you can play. Or take the men's Sunday performance jogger. These pants are perfect for lounging around in or going out for a good run. Viore is an investment in your happiness. For our viewers, they are offering 20% off your very first purchase. Get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at viore.com/Campea. That's VUORI.com/Campea. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to viore.com/Campea and discover the versatility of Viore clothing.